Justice League issue 14 with writing and art by Brian Hitch. That's why I had 2 issues off, because he was writing and drawing this one. I will say this issue starts off and I'm like, oh, this is just a weird Independence Day knockoff with an alien ship, sort of Death Star looking thing appearing in the sky and everyone looking up at it. Justice League get their asses kicked.
Complete with Star Wars reference.
Complete with... We'll get to the Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
But the actual issue, I thought it was going to be all this big action, them trying to stop this big thing. It was actually 90% of it was them just trapped in like a cave underneath where they got sort of buried from all the rubble of being blasted from it. And it was just an issue of the Justice League talking when they're all just had their asses kicked.
To the point where even when it cuts to where the action should be at the end, it just brushes over it. It's like, nope, you don't need to see that. It doesn't matter.
Because it wasn't the point. Yeah, the point was them bonding in the middle of the issue. And honestly, I mean, I think it's clunky. Brian Hitch isn't a great writer, but I have to admit, I do like a lot of the conversations they go through. I
agree. The dialogue's a bit clunky, but his heart's in the right place in this issue.
Yeah, because they're talking about, oh, we're not a team, we don't trust each other, and it's like, oh, someone's not brought up the red and blue elephant in the room, and Superman's like, you're talking about me, and like, well, duh. And how he's new, and like, I think it's Aquaman says, oh, but you're only on the team because Batman wants to keep an eye on you, and then Superman brings up the whole Tower of Babel stuff. He's like, oh, Batman's got a kryptonite ring to take me out, and he's got information on all of you. And they're all like, do you? And he's like, of course. I'm Batman.
And then he's like, well, and they're like, oh, well, you're going to tell us where all this information is? And he's like, no, you got to trust me.
Yeah. And it just...
Which they call him out on, to be fair. Him saying they got to trust him when he's literally the whole point is that he doesn't trust any of them.
Yeah. So in that sense, it's actually quite a good... Like, I ended up thinking, oh, I actually like this issue way more than I thought it was in the first couple of pages.
It came around on you, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And it was about trust, it was about Superman bonding with the group, and it was them saying, alright, we can't just be a group of heroes now, we actually have to work as a team, we have to function as a cohesive unit. And there's a lot of little bonding moments where they're asking each other if they're okay, you know, Jessica and Flash have a little moment, the others have some moments and all that. And it just, you know, Superman talking about his old Earth and about how his Justice League worked together and how him and Batman didn't trust each other at first, but eventually in time they did. It was just like, I was touching upon a lot of the right things, even if the writing was a bit clunky. And it's about them deciding to be a team, and at the end, that's why it skips over the action, because that's not the important part. The important part is, no, they're functioning as a team now.
Yeah, it was to the point where I was still surprised, even when I got to the end of the issue. I thought it was going to go like, because I knew I was getting to the end just because of how much I'd read, and I thought it was going to go, okay, and next issue will be all the action.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. I was like, oh, that was a pleasant surprise. He didn't fall into that trap.
No.
That said, I really don't think Hitch... I'm not a big fan of his art in general, but he's definitely better when he does action than just this sitting around talking. It does not play to his strengths at all.
Yeah, we need someone with better facial expressions to do the art, I think.
There's a panel where obviously they're all down there, they're kind of sort of injured, and there's a panel where Aquaman's lying down, like holding his side. It's like, it's comical. Like, I had to just... if you can find it, it's about halfway, just before halfway. About 10 pages maybe in.
I'm on the hunt. Hold on. I'm loading.
He's in the bottom left panel. It's he's talking about, what is he talking about? It's the page where Jessica's asking Barry if he's okay.
I found it. Yes, his face is a bit...
He's just like, it's like he's meant to be lying in pain, like he's going, but he's just giving this speech.
Yes, it's not a good looking face. I'll say that.
The whole pose just feels off. Like, why is he lying like that?
The faces are very inconsistent. There's a couple of times where Jessica looks really weird. It's just the next page, the page in the middle. It looks like she has buck teeth for no reason.
Yeah,
the second
right.
panel. It's just, I don't know, there's a lot of weird things. Yeah, Hitch is not a great face artist.
He's not, and I'm not a massive fan of his action stuff either, but I can at least understand why people do like it. But this just didn't play to his strengths at all. And I don't understand why this is the issue he chose to draw.
Either he just wanted to, or it was just a sort of luck of the draw type thing, where it wasn't. It was decided just through scheduling rather than because he was the best person for it. That's the only thing I can think of. But I will say this: it was for the stuff that comes up in that conversation, for the team bonding, and for them like bringing up, oh yeah, Superman's not our Superman, we have to talk about him. And Superman even has that thing, like, for all intent and purposes, I'm him and he was me. We are the same person with different lives.
Yeah.
So let's start acting like it. And
it was probably the best issue of this book, at least by Hitch.
By Hitch, yes. Written by Hitch, this was definitely the best issue of the book.
Yeah. Did need clarifying, because obviously Seeley's stuff was still better than this.
Matt, are you tempted at all to read this issue?
Nope.
All right.
I'm not falling for that trap.
I thought you might be. I thought
it's really actually not a bad issue. It's pretty decent,
and it's standalone as well, so you wouldn't feel compelled to read the next one or read back the way or anything like that. It's just completely on its own.
Like I said, I really like the ideas and the conversation in general. He could do with a script doctor just to go over the dialogue.
Yeah, and a different artist.
And that too, yeah. Basically, just change everything about it. And it'll be good.
Keep the idea.
Just leave him as co-writer. Essentially, he can plot.
Yeah, let him plot and let someone else.
Like, if this was an issue, like the plotting and the ideas that he's done here are really great. It's just really hampered by his dialogue and his art in this issue. So take it or leave it.
And there you go. That is a positive, somewhat positive review.
It's the most positive we've been in a while on anything of Hitch.
Justice League. No cold snap though. Oh, we should mention the Star Wars reference actually, because I promised we would. I actually have a complaint about this. Not the Star Wars reference itself, because I actually thought it was really funny. Because Batman basically says, wait a minute, the Death Star had that long runway with the opening at the end. His point is that this thing must have a weakness, because it's like a big Death Star. But my problem, and the funny thing was afterwards, it was like, wait, Batman just made a Star Wars reference? Cyborg, did you record that? We need to play that at the Christmas party. Funny stuff. And I appreciate that. What I didn't like about the reference, though, is just at the end of the bubble, Batman says, am I right? And I know it can be read in a different context, but it just, I can't help but read that as, am I right?
It feels really patronising.
It does.
Like the way he says it, it's like, am I right? Come on, you know I'm right. I'm always right. Just go with me, guys.
It just doesn't feel like a line that Batman would say.
It doesn't.
I mean, arguably the reference itself doesn't, but that's the point, that's the joke. It's just that last sentence feels really out of character.
It did, and like the reference itself was a surprise from Batman, but it works because at least he's got a point in what he's saying. He's trying to convey it in the simplest way he can. Yeah,
and you have the Flash reacting properly. He's like, wait, did you just make a Star Wars reference? This is Batman we're talking about here.
Yeah.
He eats his burgers with a knife and fork. Come on.